This time I'm going to be doing a video on how fast Shadow the Hedgehog is. This video is going to contain a few parts, so let's just start up with the scans of Sonic being the fastest, and then we're going to talk about Shadow the Hedgehog speed level. So here you go. And we're back. So as you can see there was a few fastest thing alive statements, and fastest hedgehog, and so on and so on. So we're gonna start out with my first argument, right? So this one is from Team Sonic Racing, and what it says here, it states that Shadow rivals Sonic in speed and abilities. And then there's also the Japanese version, right? It states the ultimate life form possesses abilities and an appearance that is exactly like Sonic. As a longtime rival of Sonic, it seems that another fierce battle is about to unfold. That right there, people are gonna start claiming rival doesn't mean equal. I'm just gonna show a scan on the screen real quick that rival can mean equal, and I'm gonna show supporting context on why that's the case. So as you can see right here, it's stated in the Sonic Heroes manual, Shadow, right, he matches Sonic in speed and abilities. Right there it says Shadow the Hedgehog is a dark incarnation of Sonic, matching him in both speed and abilities. And incarnation, it kind of means like a personification or something, or / embodiment. So what it can be referring to is that Shadow basically is just, exactly like Sonic, which is his narrative. Like that's his whole character, to be, like Sonic, his counterpart, kind of. So if, as you can see right there, matching means equal, right? So that proves that he equals him in speed. So that's why I would argue that that rival means equal in this context, right? And then people, like I said, are going to go back to the fastest things, whatever. So I just want to point out, I agree that Sonic is the fastest, character in categories of natural speed. But here's the thing, Shadow isn't naturally fast. He relies on his hover shoes in order to go fast, right? It's stated in Rivals 2 that Shadow, right, his speed comes from his hover shoes. It says right there. Unlike Sonic, however, Shadow's speed comes from his hover shoes, which allow him to glide just above the surface, right? And we also know that Shadow isn't naturally, capable of performing good speed feats without his hover shoes. For example, in IDW, right, Shadow was a Zombot, and Zombot they amp used, supposedly, right? And Shadow, his hover shoes wasn't working because, he wasn't using them properly. And because of this, he wasn't moving fast like he would normally go at. So, and he was just using his natural speed, which Sonic casually caught up to, just random, simple as that. He even said, you're still faster than your average Zombot, though. He said, not so fast when you don't know how to work your rocket skates, are you? Yeah, exactly. That right there is a good argument that I would like to use, right? So it just means that Sonic is the fastest natural speed character. And share means. If one person or thing shares a quality or characteristic with another, they have the same quality or characteristic. You can also say that two people or things share something. That proves that hover shoes do have that capability as well. So, and now we're going to go to the next argument that I'm going to present that people, use. It comes from 06, right? It's stated that Shadow isn't nearly as fast as Sonic and doesn't possess his gift of speed. Now, for one, right, people don't know what gift of speed means when they use this argument against me, right? They agree with me that Shadow is fast because of his hover shoes, but then they argue that this 06 statement makes him get speed blitzed by Sonic. So here's the problem here. Gift is not, right? It is not something outside of naturality, right? And it's something that you're born with. So here's the definition of gift: a special ability or capacity / natural endowment or talent, right? And also here's the Google definition, which also says that it's natural. It's something that you are born with, like I said. Shadow isn't fast like this naturally. He isn't. He just not. And not nearly as fast for the second statement. That's just referring to the gift of speed. That's just all it's referring to. And then back to the Google definition, it says a natural ability or talent, right? A talent / ability that you're born with. And even in the 06 profiles and the Japanese one, right? It says this: a black hedgehog who looks exactly like Sonic and is just as fast as him. That itself just proved that Shadow with his hover shoes is just as fast as Sonic. And I know people are gonna say something like, just as can just mean relative, And I just want to point out to you that no, just as means to an equal, agree as. That, and then it says just as fast. That just proved that he equals him right there. Oh, and now that we're done with hold on. I would like to discuss one more thing about 06, right? It says that he uses the motorcycle to close the gap, right? That proved that his motorcycle equals Sonic in speed. But I would also like to point out that it's stated in Archie, the only reason Shadow brings his motorcycle is because he likes it so much, and it's a requirement by GUN/Gun. And it says that Shadow can keep up with Sonic, according to Amy, and the definition of keep up with can be equal. So that kind of supports my argument still. And also it's the fact that keep up with in the context of the scene, it kind of suggests that Archie and Game are the same versions, which is why I'm using these Archie scans in the first place. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to be doing a video on why Archie and Game are the same, so I'm just going to post 2 scans for this one. But yeah, now that that's concluded, that we know that the motorcycle equals Sonic and Shadow in speed, and Shadow equals him in speed, we can move on. And quick note before we do, the motorcycle did technically keep up with Shadow and Blaze when they were running. This is like the motorcycle when it's not at full speed. We know this is because there's already enough people on the motorcycle taking it up enough weight. For example, Omega's on there, And then there's like an extra seat for him, which would slow down the motorcycle speed level, wouldn't be at its best, as well as the fact Cream and Roots are on there. So that's just like the motorcycle when it's not at full speed, still like performing good enough feat at least. So anyway, let's go on to the Shadow the Hedgehog argument for the games. I'm just gonna quickly also debunk the Shadow not being equal to Sonic and Shadow the Hedgehog. In Shadow the Hedgehog, it's stated in the Space Gadget race between Sonic and Shadow in the hero missions. In the time mechanic dialogue, I believe it's called. So it says, "Hey, what's the matter, Shadow? Can't keep up?" And I'm just gonna tell you, this is literally just a time mechanic. Every time the timer reaches 1:57:62, Sonic teases Shadow as a mechanic to warn you that you need to hurry up. But that doesn't matter because you're still capable of winning or losing the race. And then there's also this other dumb argument that I keep hearing. It says, "Is this a dead end? The only thing here is a warp hole." And people are claiming this means that Shadow uses the warp holes, right, to supposedly cheat and beat Sonic in the race. That's the only outcome. And they're also saying that he relies on the hero form. For one, they need to prove that Shadow uses the hero form in actual canon supposedly outcome. Like, for example, the Prima guide, if it states that, like, they need to show proof that it's actually in there rather than just something the player can just optionally use. And you can still beat him without the hero form. And you don't even need the warp holes in the first place. The warp hole, right, that is only if you reach, you just cheat using the warp holes as an optional thing, which the player can do. It's just one of those alternatives within the alternative pathway. Shadow doesn't have to go this path to win the race. There's multiple directions to the stage. This is simply just an alternative direction dialogue mechanic if you just go another way. You don't have to go to the dead end. Even in the Prima guide, which I'm pulling out right now, it never states that Shadow needs to go through the warp holes or hero to win. That literally just proved that it's not in there. And they even explain how it went down, right? And they said that you can win or lose, which once again would prove that they're still equal. And let's see. Also, I just want to say I'm just going to repeat what I said about Hero Shadow. It's simply just optional. You don't need it to win the race, neither in the Prima guide, which says what they do in canon never says Shadow went through this path nor needed hero form. The best thing the Prima guide states is an alternative pathway Shadow uses the keys and goes in the dead end and goes through the warp panel and shortcuts the race. Like, they just stated that there's an alternative way for the player to go, but you didn't need to go that way to win the race, is what they were saying. Like, they had the full canon thing laid out, and then they had an alternative pathway in the next page. As you can see right here, these are the skins that I'm talking about. Using an alternative pathway in Hero Shadow to imply that he lost or won, that's the only reason. It's like, that's very vague, not supported at all in the canon outcome, and it's most definitely never proven in the actual pathway Shadow took for that timeline. That would be like an alternative timeline type pathway. That doesn't change the fact Shadow can still beat him without the war panels in Hero Shadow.
Shadow, don't you remember? We once raced each other here. This is just like old times. A race for the emerald.
It is about time you showed up, Shadow. The Ark's defense system is blocking our attack forces out. Destroy them, and we will take the Ark.
Since the two of us ran along here together. Now, time to kick things up a notch.
This saucer seems to hover above the ground, but something tells me that I don't want to touch that green energy fluid. Is this the Ark's power plant?
Sorry, but that emerald's mine. See ya!
Keep going down from here? I need 5 keys to open this door.
Hey, what's the matter, Shadow? Can't keep up?
Sonic. Now I remember. That day, we fought here aboard the Ark.
Generations. So basically what I'm going to argue here is that in Gens, Sonic and Shadow, they are equal to each other in that game, and I'm also going to show proof on why the fight, it should never be considered a win for Sonic. So if you see right here in these scans that I'm about to present, Shadow has been shown to be equal to Sonic in speed, and then I'll show a picture of that. And I'll even show a Gen statement from the character profiles. And lastly, it's gonna be explaining on why the energy core is the reason why Sonic won. So the energy core is basically the purple orb that you see in the fight. You can't say it's a game mechanic because it appears in the game cutscene in the beginning of the fight, which I'll also present. And this essentially powers up the characters, which they could focus on one of each other's abilities, right? So, Shadow, he uses the energy core in order to use it for the Chaos Spears, which he throws at Sonic. You can either tank or, in other words, like dodge it. And Sonic, he uses the energy core for the meteor boost, and he summons a bunch of meteorites on the field with the aura of the energy core, as well as boosting. So essentially the only way to win is by amping yourself, which is what he does. Essentially what just happened is that he summoned meteorites and spammed it at Shadow in order to slow him down, which is, I would kind of consider that an amp and outside help type win. Well, you don't need to worry about the outside help thing. It's just the fact that he's amping himself and then just using surroundings that was also amped. So he spams it at Shadow to slow him down and take out some rings, I believe. And he also boosted into him right after he was slowed down and weakened. And for Shadow, he, like I said, he was just using it to spam Chaos Spears, so it's basically just how they utilized it. At the end of the day, they were still amped, so it's a bad example for people to use to say that Sonic won the fight. Like, literally, he just amped himself. And it just doesn't make sense to me on why that argument's used. So now that we're through with gens, we're just gonna